All right, guys, what is up? Welcome back. We're here on Lost Temple, the first match of MLG Showcase Series Phase 2. We're here with Suggy and QXC, making sure that Suggy is here before we go ahead and start this match. Tonight, joining me as my co-caster is going to be Jeff, aka iNcontroL. What is going on, iNcontroL?
Glad to be here, man. Thanks a lot for inviting me. I love casting, and especially with you.
All right, man, little bromance there. So we are on Lost Temple, pretty much a map that, if you've played StarCraft before, you know what Lost Temple is. Don't really have to talk too much about the map, but one thing I do want to talk about is the TVZ matchup. This matchup has caused quite a lot of controversy there on the Team Liquid forums. What are your thoughts on the matchup, Jeff?
You know, you're asking, with me comes my perspective and opinion. And yes, the matchup is pretty rigid in the sense that a lot of Terrans are going mech right now. It's very frustrating to play against because it's so damaging to aggressive Zerg style, which is what predominantly made up the early beta phase. But the reason I hold back on judging it too harshly is a lot of people forget that in Brood War, the same thing was true. If you attack into a tank line with Goliath behind it, you are going to get decimated. You had to do drops, you had to do counters, you had to overexpand, you had to do tricky tactics. I mean, we saw in pro leagues people using Broodling Queens and that kind of stuff. So give it time. Allow people the chance to experiment and kind of figure it out and feel it out. It definitely requires a different playstyle.
All right, guys. So we are here on Lost Temple. QXC, the purple Terran, spawning on the left, and up in the top of the map, we do have Suggy, the Zerg player. He's a little bit of an unknown, but an interesting fact about Suggy is that we were guildmates back in World of Warcraft in the vanilla days of WoW. So I guess if I had to pick a favorite here, it is going to be my old guildmate Zuggy, the Zerg player. You see the players talking a little bit as Phase 2 did just come up, and there's been a lot of changes that weren't really that well documented in the patch notes from Blizzard. I think they're talking about the different icons though, and one of them is actually bugged. I can't remember exactly which icons those were though. Maybe Jeff, you actually could help me out there, or do you have no idea what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea.
All right, so we'll just go ahead and shut up talking about the patch and just go straight into this match. So we do have a spawning pull coming down from Suggy, opting to not do the fast expand, or at least get a hatch before the pull. And QXC's looking like he's going pretty standard here for the Terran as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to talk about is you had mentioned that if you know Lost Temple from Brood War, there's not a whole lot to say. And while that, for the most part, is true, they did spawn in very interesting positions. Given QXC's predominant mech-style play, this is absolutely the best position possible for that because he can kind of crawl his tanks towards this high-yield expansion very safely, but in winning that expansion for himself, he also contains the Zerg, which should cut off at least 2 hatcheries from reinforcing outer expansions. And it's another base the Zerg can't take because even from within the natural, he can shell it with tanks. I mean, this is actually just kind of a tough spot for the Zerg just from the get-go.
Right, we do have a hatchery going down there at the natural expansion of Suggy. Pretty standard build from both of these players right now. We're waiting to see what QXC is going to be doing. He drops down a factory right there. So, I mean, what does that tell you there, Jeff?
I mean, it's exactly, I think, what we were talking about. It's obviously going to be some pretty early mech play here. There's different styles. We actually see the reactor going down on the barracks. Now, that could be a swap for, like, a mass Banshee harass, or he could be opting to stick to pretty heavy Marines while adding that tech lab to the factory. We do see a second barracks going down, which actually moves a little bit away from kind of what I was talking about with the mech play. This is looking to be more of an early aggression-type build. A lot of Terrans could very safely do a 1-1-1 expansion or just off of 2 production buildings, but we see 3 going down fairly early, so I'm going to anticipate some aggression.
Looks like he might be swapping that factory for that Rax, opting to go for an early harass with those Hellions there. Looks like that Ling might be able to get in the base, and it does, but dies to those Marines relatively quickly. Going back over into the Zerg's base, he does have his natural expansion up, as well as drones over there that he matered from his main. He also does have a spine crawler going down. So again, some pretty standard stuff. This SCV, though, however, of QXC is inside of the Zerg's base, and he pretty much knows exactly what the Zerg player is up to right now.
Yeah, I mean, as far as he's concerned, he sees no lair being started, so probably something like like a slow tech, a lot of drones going for the spine crawler earlier because he did see the reactor going on for those Banshees. We do see the Banshees coming up to the ramp. Suggy's got a block. He does beautifully there. The QXC's going to move around to the side, though. He's going to try to pick off a couple drones. They are exposed before the spine crawler finishes. No good damage here. Very nice job by SUGGY pulling back those drones for 0 losses. Just a few seconds in mine timing. And now the Queen's still blocking the ramp. Very nice micro play early on.
Yeah, QXC actually was really smart right there with those Hellions opting to go on the left side when that Spine Crawler was still in spawning. He does have an SUV on the top there, making sure that he can see the top of of SUGGY's base. There's now an evolution chamber going down, blocking that ramp even more so from those Hellions trying to get into his base. And going back over into QXC's base, he does start pumping out some Marauders there, as well as getting the stim pack research.
Yeah, it's actually a really intelligent SUV placement because of what a lot of players want to do with these Banshees is get in that base and force a drone pull, or even, better yet, pick off a bunch of drones. But he's not committing to that because this SUV sees the ramp is in fact blocked. SUGGY is anticipating that move, so QXC isn't having to sacrifice unnecessarily the workers. And also we see here that he did have vision up the cliff, so he was able to hit the Zerglings. Again, not for much of a loss, but kind of cute little cerebral play going on there.
We do have the lair actually now just spawning there from SUGGY. It's gonna be interesting to see what tech he decides to go, whether it's gonna be Hydralisk Mutas or Roaches. Looks like he's gonna be opting for a Spire there. And going back over into the Terran's base, he does have his command center being built. Gonna be moving that to the natural expansion here relatively soon, as well as a little bit more of an aggressive move from QXC with a handful of Marauders, Marines, and Hellions right outside of the Zerg player's base.
We do see concussion grenade upgrade being done, as well as stim pack, and it's still just Banshees, and it's looking like it's going to be Marauders. But guess what? That unit composition has no answers for Mutalisk. It'll be interesting to see how long we stick to this. Before we get there, though, oh my god, I was missing it. A little bit of aggression at the front of the Zerg base. One Spine Crawler is down. Actually, both are, if not just the one. So this hatchery is exposed. Marauders are awfully beefy. They're just single targeting that hatchery. Zerg's getting jive to it, pulling back the full surround. Hatchery goes down. That's a huge loss to Zerg. Oh man, that hurts.
Yeah, that was actually a really interesting fight there. I liked what the Zerg player did, though. He did surround all of those units, making sure that those Hellions could not be microed back, and kind of just had to go toe-to-toe. And look, here's some more Zerglings going against these two Hellions. Wow, some really impressive micro here from QXC as he hit almost all of those lings with a handful of shots from those Hellions, and now looks like QXC is going to be retreating, or actually no, he's going to be reinforcing those units with a handful of Hellions and Marauders. Looks like he is going to be losing, though. He needs to possibly drop up those... Nope, actually he's just going to go ahead and pull back, and he did lose that hatchery. Like you said, he has begun rebuilding it, but now it's going to be interesting to see what happens as that Spire is now completed, and we do have Mutalisk, I think, being spawned in currently.
Just one, actually. Nope, scratch that, 2, but it's really unfortunate. A couple things to note here. The Zergling play was a little bit of a desperate move, trying to equal back, win back. Oh, the Spire gets scouted there. Very unfortunate. We're going to see a reaction here from the Terran. Armory goes down, Engineering Bay goes down. Probably Marine's going to start getting produced here. Yep. So he doesn't have the econ to drop out like 7 Mutalisks right this second that he would need to in order to get the jump on this build, this tech. But because the Terran was able to scout that and pick off the hatchery, things are starting to accumulate in the negative category for the Zerg.
Yeah, we do have a little bit more of an aggressive play here from QXC, opting to try to take down a little bit more units, but those Mutalisks were doing exactly what they were intended for. And now we have the Zerg player actually knowing that he's a little bit behind here. He's going to try to do a little bit of a push on the natural expansion of QXC, taking out those SCVs, building those missile turrets to allow for those Mutalisks to do as much damage as possible. There are 2 Marines there doing a little bit of damage on those Mutalisks.
Yep, actually it's a very nice play right there. I did not anticipate this much damage being done early, but it's before there's actually no Tech Lab add-on on that factory, so no Thor is going to be coming out. It's just going to be a few Marines at a time, and if he can reinforce these Mutalisks and conserve them, kind of as I say it, one of them pops, but it's looking like SUGGY's not committing to this, which I think is actually pretty wise. Like, you see the double expansion going down the right side. Obviously, he had a lot of minerals accumulated. He was able to save a lot of his drones, so once we get a drone transfer going on here, there's going to be pretty good saturation at 2 bases, and I think the damage he did to that expansion is enough to slow QXC down a little bit. We see that he only has 4 Marauders, and he is making a lot of turrets right now to compensate for the potential danger from those Mutalisks.
We also do have our first Thor being built right now from that factory. And look at the Zerg player here with those Mutalisks opting to stay away from those missile turrets, doing as much damage as possible. It looks like he's only going to be able to attack these unit-producing structures, as actually he might have to pull out here as there's about 5 Marines doing a lot of damage to those 4 Mutalisks, and he does pull back as those Marines do go inside of that bunker. Actually, no, he's going to be trying to take down that reactor, which is going to be a really, really big annoyance. And there's the Thor saying, no, thank you, get out of my base, making those Mutalisks run away and making that reactor completely finish.
Yeah, but I really like the direction this game's progressing. Like, I mean, he very nice micro at that ramp. There's that World of Warcraft micro play coming in there. You know, he was
World of Warcraft micro. What?
Well, I don't know. They got something going for him. I got to compliment the people when they're switching. But you know, they were in the red, and he got a little bit greedy and started pecking away at the buildings unnecessarily. I mean, he had it scouted out, so he wasn't really going to stop anything. But you know, that hindsight's 2020. We do see actually more Mutalisks here. They are resupplied. There's about 6 of them. Just being annoying at this expansion, and I really, really like that play, because he doesn't need a victory at this expansion. He just needs time. I mean, if this 3rd and 4th greedy expansion on the right side of the map has any time to get saturated, that is going to be a tremendous amount of economy that the Zerg's going to have to throw at the Terran.
Yeah, for a little while there, it looks like QXC was only running on one base. He did have to pull all those SCVs there at the natural expansion, as well as destroying that refinery there at that most northern gas. And now, like you just said, we do have these other 2 expansions on the right side of the map fully operational. Need to start using those larvae there on the right side, getting those drones there. It looks like we do have a queen spawning at both of them relatively soon, so those expansions are going to be fully operational. And here comes 2 Hellions there in the middle of the map. Looks like he's going to be trying to take those out with those Mutalisks. He wants to be able to continue taking those without his opponent knowing it, and that Hellion is going to be able to get across the entire map there, seeing one. Is it going to see the other? Oh, he pulls it back. So he has no idea that that is an actual 4th expansion right above him, but he does know that he's running on 3 bases. And here's a little bit of a desperate move from QXC in the middle of the map.
Yeah, we do see he's got 2 Thors moving out, a couple of Marauders, maybe 4, and then a gaggle of Marines. Pretty interesting timing here, though. We do have Banelings actually morphing up at the Zerg base, and a lot of production. He's got some Mutalisks out on the field and a lot of Zerglings, which I like that against the Terran army, but very smart play by QXC, not committing to this. He's just waving out in the middle, kind of showing his stick, and in doing so, it's forcing the Zerg to get away from that drone production, but he might have overcommitted here. Zerglings moving around, Banelings coming in. Oh, they're blowing up everywhere. The Marines going back. Beautiful micro. How long can it last? Those Zerglings going for the cold. There it is. Banelings blowing up all over that bio army. Pretty good saturation. The Thors have survived the conflict, but QXC, here's the issue. He doesn't have the macro or the production that's kicking in for the Zerg does. So this push out that he's doing right now is either going to be a brilliant move or it's just going to be too aggressive and cost him the game.
Yeah, we'll have to see just exactly how this plays out. Looks like he does have a ton of Lings spawning there on the right side of the map, and they're all just running right next to those Thor, giving a little bit of free shots to those Thors and Marauders. Those Thors could actually probably drop that hatchery relatively quick. It looks like they do not have the 250mm strike cannon research upgrade, but it doesn't matter too much as there's really no defense over on that right side of the map. And now it looks like SUGGY is going to be trying to build up another army of Lings, Banelings, and Mutalisks right now. Yeah,
QXC has to watch out for the counter, though. The Zerg is not moving over there to stop this. He's just pumping Zerglings. His money is accumulating. There is an Ultralisk Cavern going down, so interesting choice here. And here's the counter. This is QXC's 1 base, so he cannot afford to lose a lot of stuff here. Same can be said for the Zerg, though. This is his army. I mean, he loses this. There's nothing stopping the Terran from turning around coming up there. These Zerglings are just so ineffective against that meat shield of the Thor with any kind of damage going on behind it. And very wisely, QXC is going to repair that Thor. So the damage here is very minimal. And there it is. The Terran is actually scouting that northern expansion. So both those bases will be raised.
Yeah, looking back over at the Zerg player, he's still opting for these mass Lings build. It looks like he's throwing up a couple of spine crawlers now as he knows he's in trouble. He does have that Roachborn going down as well as that Ultralisk as well. Let's see if there are any Ultralisk in production. Yes, there are 5 Ultralisks being built right now, and that's really going to help. But one thing to note is that can he last long enough for those things to spawn as they had just started researching?
Thors move at a turtle's pace, so I give the edge to him to get those out. The question's going to be, and this is actually really nice for an early Phase 2 game, how effective are these Ultralisks? Because they should shred the crap out of these Marines, but the big question is the Thors. We do have 4 out on the battlefield right now. If we look at the upgrades, no upgrade for the strike cannon, so this is just going to be a pure... meat versus meat. What do they do to each other without any kind of spells? The edge is going to SUGGY, though. He's been upgrading melee from the very beginning, as well as 1 carapace upgrade. And we do have that +2 shitness armor upgrade going. And a drop going down at the main. Excuse me, I'm babbling. Pretty effective drop there. Minimal losses to the Terran, and he does see the Ultra, so he knows what's going on.
Yeah, it looks like he is going to be opting to take out his opponent SUGGY here, but there is just so many Lings and Ultralisks there at the very front, and look how fast those Ultralisks are. That is actually really comical to look at. And here we go. It looks like we are going to start fighting here. Now, do remember that we do not have those 250mm strike cannons, and wow, look at those Ultralisks go to work. Looks like they have taken all but 2 Thors down. Looks like he is going to win this fight. Wow, some great play there from SUGGY. I mean, really, QXC probably could have saved a couple of those Thors, and SUGGY knows what is at the cost of this map or cost of that fight right there. He's going to be pushing those Ultralisks forward. Looks like we do have a bunker going down from QXC, but will these small units be enough for the Terran player?
Oh, it's an interesting note here. Drop going down at the Zerg main. If he doesn't pay attention, that's the hive that's going to go down. Maybe the spawning pool. These Ultras do an area of effect damage, though. Those SPs need to get out of there right now. They are going into the red. It's going to be interesting. This hive's going to go down. Holy crap, free hive. Thank you very much.
Yeah, QXC pretty much just dropping those units there, not really doing anything else, worrying about his base. And there's only 2 Ultralisks left inside of his base right now. Looks like he is going to get those down as now 1 Ultralisk is going to be retreating. And now we have only 1 base left for the Zerg player. And look at that drop continuing to do damage in the, I guess, now new main of the Zerg player. There's only a Queen really to defend against those 2 Marauders and 2 Marines. Actually, no, here come the 2 other Ultralisks. Looks like we probably will see QXC pick up those units relatively soon. There he goes, actually getting those away, and he might lose that medevac to that Queen. Nope, just kidding. He's going to drop on that top, which is actually really smart. Needs to move that medevac away, though. Oh, it only has about 2 hits left. And there comes the focus down on the Queen. Looks like he is probably going to get that Marine, but that Marauder is going to continue. Wow, and 1 shot left on that Queen. And here's another drop with a Thor on the ridge from the Terran player.
Really nice, aggressive, and spread play here by QFC, doing an awesome job. Interesting thing to note here, look at the Zerg main without that creep. All these buildings are dying, and it is slow. They're actually going out pretty quick. I mean, I'm talking Spire, Spawning Pool, Ultralist Den. This is his whole production. We are watching it melt, so the Zerg player's been put on a clock here, and there goes the last of his Ultralist. I think that's going to be his last desperate move. Expect a GG pretty soon. Yeah, excellent harass play by QFC.
I would definitely expect a GG soon here, especially if he knew that there is an expansion there in the south. And there it is, guys. QXC taking map 1 here on Lost Temple from SUGGY, and we will be back here really quickly with our next match.